Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm Chip Huggins. I'm the President CEO of Hope Services. It's my pleasure to join with each of you today. On behalf of Hope Services, I am presenting a donation to Humanity and Inclusion to support their work serving vulnerable populations to countries experiencing crisis or emergency. We all know of the ongoing crisis that Ukrainians are facing, even as we speak. Months ago, as we were watching these events unfold, we felt that it was our place to do something to help, no matter how big or how small. Our mission at Hope Services is to improve the quality of life for people with developmental disabilities, and it holds true regardless of where those individuals live. So we launched a campaign at each of our HopeTHRIFT stores from April 13th to July 1st. HopeTHRIFT pledged 25% of all Wednesday and Thursday sales to support relief efforts in Ukraine. Particularly with the developmentally disabled, our community came together and raised over $56,000 to be distributed to 2 organizations on the ground in Ukraine. You might think, why is one nonprofit giving money to the other nonprofit? Don't all nonprofits need money? Very much so. And no different than Hope Services. So at HopeTHRIFT, we are a social enterprise, creating opportunities for our clients to work and also to increase revenues to support our ongoing programs. When it came time to select recipients for this donation, it was a task we did not take lightly. You'll hear more about that from our Specialty Director, Kathy Bouchard, in just a bit. There are so many wonderful organizations doing relief work in Ukraine, but our decision to select Humanity and Inclusion was a natural and promising one. We are pleased to partner with you. We look forward to hearing more about your work in Ukraine, and we hope these funds will help your teams on the ground. I want to welcome Jeff Meir, the U.S. Executive Director of Humanity and Inclusion, to share a few words with us.
Well, hi there, Chip. Good morning, and thank you for that warm welcome. I hope you can see this great big check that I'm holding up. That is what we're here today to talk about. And my name is Jeff Meir. I lead Humanity and Inclusion's team here in the United States. On behalf of my colleague, Emily, who you'll hear from in a little while, and our entire Humanity and Inclusion team, including in the 60 countries where we work, thank you to Hope Services for this incredible gift. Thank you for standing in solidarity with the people we have the honor of serving in Ukraine. And to the clients of Hope Services, thank you for holding the people of Ukraine in your hearts and minds, and especially in your actions. Conceiving of this idea and seeing it come to fruition with such success should give everyone a real sense of accomplishment and pride. You have done something very big here. Encouraging shoppers at HopeTHRIFT to make a donation to support people with disabilities in Ukraine might have seemed like a simple act, but raising $50,000? Wow! So thank you, HopeTHRIFT shoppers. Clearly, there is tremendous compassion to be found in the Hope Services community. How very humbled we at HI are to be part of it. Next week, we all mark a somber anniversary. 6 months of war in Ukraine. 6 months of civilians, people just like you and me, attempting to stay safe, trying to remain healthy, trying to keep a semblance of normal life as they knew it. Tragically, this war has now taken the lives of more than 5,500 civilians and injured thousands more. So I'm deeply proud of the work my colleagues are doing today in Ukraine. Day to day, their actions provide relief. They restore a sense of humanity. They chip away at exclusion. I want to share just a few of the wonderful things my colleagues have made possible, things that I'm very proud of. First, you've probably all seen the images of older people fleeing their homes in the cold winter months. Many of these people are still not home. So our health and psychological support specialists are providing them with services at 10 collective centers in Chernovitzy and Dnipro. Some of these shelters are really schools that are housing people right now from other parts of the country. We provide these older people with a mix of one-on-one and group sessions to help them feel better and to forge new relationships. My colleague Kaglar, for example, who does this work, said that we're already seeing positive results from activities that include cooking, crafting, and playing games. One man who benefited is Taras, who is blind. He was particularly pleased with an accordion that HI donated, and he now plays music to entertain himself and perform for his fellow residents. Our efforts to support children with disabilities is some of the hardest work we've ever encountered. These children, like all other children in Ukraine, are trying to survive a war, but they are rarely sheltering with their own families. Many have been moved from the east part of the country where the fighting is the fiercest to the west. Here, the places where they're housed are not at all up to the standards of care that we hold dear thanks to the Americans with Disabilities Act. Instead, we find 50 children packed into a residence built for only a dozen. When we first accessed one such home, conditions were acute. The exhausted, overworked staff were doing their best, but they were clearly out of their depth. In these cases, we must do all we can to make sure that the children are safe, clean, and well cared for, and that they can enjoy activities that all children enjoy, simple things like playing games. But in the longer term, we have mindsets to shift, policies to support. In Ukraine, when a child is born with a disability, there are few supports to ensure that she or he can attend school, can access work, or simply grow up to live a life of their choosing in a place of their choosing. Humanity and Inclusion is ready to roll up our sleeves to fight for human rights and to push for inclusion. With support from groups like Hope Services, these efforts have fuel, and therefore we have hope. I want to underscore how honored we are to have been selected to receive this leadership donation. Every dollar can make a real difference in the lives of people with disabilities, those living with injuries, and older people who were serving in Ukraine. I've shared just a small piece of what we do, which does not include our other efforts, like in hospitals or in supporting critical aid that needs to go the last mile to people living under the threat of bombardment. So Chip, and to all of our new friends at Hope Services, we look forward to keeping you abreast of our collective progress in the months ahead. And once again, from all of us, thank you.
Thank you, Jeff, for sharing. We're now going to hear more about how, what, and why Humanity and Inclusion was selected. I'd like to introduce you to Hope Services Specialty Director, Kathy Bouchard, who has been with us for over 40 years and played a key role in the research and selection process that led us to this point. Kathy?
Good morning, and it's nice to meet you all in person. And, personally, thank you for the wonderful work that you're doing. This was Chip's idea for this fundraising effort, and he asked for me to research and help him select several organizations. I took that quite seriously. And so one of the first places that I went to look at was Charity Navigator. And they have you listed as one of the top 9 organizations doing work, especially around medical services. So I think that's quite an honor. But as I looked more into your organization, I was more and more impressed. Number one, because you match our mission so closely, which is to provide support to the more vulnerable populations and people with special needs. And also, when I was reading about your organization, there were numerous comments about how you are just one of the main organizations that organizes other organizations' humanitarian aid to make sure that it's inclusive and that it's accessible. So other organizations look to you for your leadership in that area. And then lastly, not lastly, but one of the final things is that 86% of your monies goes directly to programs and services. A very small amount goes to administrative overhead and fundraising. Some of the other organizations didn't have that good of a statistic. And also a lot of other organizations spend a lot of their money on advocacy work and more national, global kinds of communication. And we really felt strongly that we wanted our money to go directly to the aid, to the humanitarian aid. Also noted in some of the things I researched is just the comprehensive services that you provided, including mental health services, psychosocial services, rehabilitation services, and the fact that you bring in all these specialists into your work, not just volunteers, but specialists who know exactly what they're doing and what's needed. So just overall, we were just so impressed, and that's why we selected your organization as one of the 2 organizations. So we're proud of that. We're proud of you, of the work that you're doing. So now I'd like to introduce you to one of our people that we're proud of here at Hope Services. And her name is Tessa, and she's actually somebody who works at one of the stores that was raising money. So as Chip mentioned, our 3 thrift stores, all of them not only generate revenue for our organization, but they employ our clients. And our clients earn minimum wage or better. They work alongside non-disabled individuals. Tessa is here to talk a little bit about the work that she does and to thank you. So Tessa, if you don't mind coming over and having a seat. You can just sit right here, my dear.
Hi, my name is Tessa Gallo. I'm 24 years old. I've been working at HopeTHRIFT and organizing the clothes and stuffed animals and shoes because I like to get paid a paycheck, but also helping with Ukraine. And I hope that the war will end soon and everyone will be safe.
Thank you, Tessa. And now I want to just introduce Tessa's mom. This is Terry.
Hello, everyone. I'm Terry Downing, Tessa's mom, and I'm thrilled that she had the opportunity to, first of all, work here at Hope, but work at HopeTHRIFT. Tessa, in 2011, was struck with a very rare disease called autoimmune encephalitis of the brain, and she had to work very hard to get to this point. She had the support of the Hope staff, was able to apply for a job at HopeTHRIFT, and she absolutely loves her job and is just thrilled with the fact that she can help these individuals that are very similar to her across the world in Ukraine. Thank you very much, and God bless you, and we hope the war ends soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Tessa and Terry. And now I want to introduce someone very special and to me. Benan Kalisa is the manager of the program here that we are in right now in the facility. It's called Employment Media and Community Connections. And he has about 20 of the clients from this program that work in the thrift store. So he saw firsthand our clients and the joy that they felt when they were going to work and raising money for Ukraine. But he also has another very unique perspective in that he lived in a refugee camp in Africa when he was growing up. So he is here to say a few words.
Good morning. My name is Benan Kalisa. I am the program manager of EMCC program, as Kathy explained. Kathy, thank you for the introduction. I am profoundly grateful to have been allowed or given the opportunity to share my background and my story with you. I'm also grateful for the work that you're doing in Ukraine, the work that I think makes a positive change to the children and individuals with disabilities in Ukraine. I was born in Uganda in a refugee camp on exiled, stateless, and refugee parents. My parents were originally from Rwanda. They were expelled in the tribal conflict that erupted as a result of the 1959 revolutions in Rwanda. They escaped to Uganda to seek refuge, and that's where my siblings and I were born and raised. Until 1994, after the genocide of Rwanda, 30 years later, my parents had the opportunity to go back to their country. And at age of 10, I was able to see Rwanda for the first time. When I returned to Rwanda, I was also feeling like I was going back in a refugee life because everything was destroyed in Rwanda. Over 1 million people were exterminated. My aunties and my uncles, all my relatives were all killed. And we had to live in a refugee life in our own country. As I was growing up, I kept asking myself these questions. Why we? Why are we the only one that don't have a mattress to sleep on? Why are we the only one that go to school without books? Why are we the only one that can only eat once in a day? And why are we the only one that when we get sick, mom had to go get leaves and mixes leaves to come up with a medication to cure our diseases? And why were we the one discriminated against based on our looking, our ethnicity, and our language? All these questions, I had no answer by then. But as I grew up and trying to see the world and try to see how Ukrainian people are struggling now, I started getting the answers to those questions. I want to thank Hope Services for this opportunity they have given me as an individual. I never knew that one day in my life, I will be able to give back or be able to be working with an organization that can give back and make me feel that I'm able to also support those people in need. I never knew this day will come, and I'm very grateful for Hope Services, I personally. I want to thank Humanity and Inclusion for the great work you've done to support those people who are like me 30 years ago. When you have never rained on in a tropical climate and see how it's raining from morning to night, and you have to live under the tent, you would wonder if that life is truly existing, but yes, it does. So I want to thank you for the great work you're doing in Ukraine and other parts of the world. And now we collected the questions from the clients who are able to participate in the process of raising the money that you're receiving today. And with this, I want to invite Emily Boyer.
Yes, it's me.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Yes, for this, we got these questions here, and I would like to see if you may have answers to these questions.
I hope so.
Thank you. The first question was, what are the basic needs will be covered by the donation that you're receiving today?
Before providing you with an answer, I really would like to say thank you very much for your stories and also obviously for this donation. I've spent some weeks in Ukraine in May, and I mainly focused on Ukraine since 6 months, and I must really tell you that this donation is amazing. So first of all, let me thank you for this donation. Concerning the basic needs that will be covered by this donation, Well, this donation will make a real difference. It can help our team on the ground to reach more people with disability or people with injury from the war, but also older people that are really hugely impacted as well by the conflict. And this gift can strengthen our response in many ways. First of all, we are employing some psychologists, psychosocial workers, but also physical therapists. And these people are directly providing care to help Ukrainian displaced people most of the time to heal physically, but also emotionally from a wide range of trauma they have been through since the month of February. So this donation can really help us in continuing providing this session and support the people with disability. It can also help in providing some very specific aids that Ukrainians with disability needs, such as wheelchair, specialized bed, or canes, or walkers as well, to help them in their daily lives. So this gift will obviously help them to recover from an injury, but this gift will also help them to try to maintain daily activities in an environment that is very much different from their daily usual life. This donation will also contribute in providing some basic items, because as you know, most of the people who flew their homes left without any belongings. Winter is coming as well in Ukraine. So this gift can make also a big difference with very basic items that looks super easy for us, like soap, toothbrush, toothpaste, and it looks super easy for us because we can access them very easily. But this is not the case for Ukrainian today. So we'll be able to handle and to provide more of these items to Ukrainians. And finally, this donation can also help in maintaining, I would say, clean environment, especially in places such as school, where a lot of Ukrainian displaced are gathered. We all like to live in a clean environment, and this donation can also help us in providing cleaning material to keep this environment in the best way for those who are sheltered in this structure.
Thank you very much. And I'll pass this answer to the clients. There's another question here. How do kids go to school now in Ukraine?
Well, for the moment, most of them do not go to school, partly because it's summer, but absolutely also because of the war. The war has really severely impacted the ability of the kids to go to school and to learn in many ways. First of all, I would say that the kids are really exposed regularly to trauma, psychosocial distress, stress in their daily lives. And these are typically the kinds of trauma that can lead to risk of dropping out of school from the children. Secondly, the schools have been damaged by the war. We estimate that around 20% of the country's schools report structural damage. So we as HI are not gathering this information, but this is information that our friends from other organizations are really collecting to really assess the state of Ukrainian schools. And there are also some cities, areas where the situation is super insecure. And this would be also dangerous for the kids to go to school. It would be really unsafe, so they don't. And the schools have also limited access to the internet. They could not buy essential items that the teachers need to help the students learn. So, and there are also some schools that they are just closed because they gather some people that left their house, especially a lot of people from the eastern side of the country left their homes to go to the west, which is a bit more safe. And some of them are living in schools, for example. So the schools had to close. And for the moment, they did not reopen so far.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for what you're doing. And lastly, what do you do when you don't have money to support people in need?
But it's simple, sad, but simple. Without any fundings, we cannot help.
Yeah.
We cannot support people in need without fundings. So as you know, the people we help are a lot of people with disabilities. Some of them may have very bad injuries from the war, older people as well, but unfortunately, the money available rarely match the needs. And that's why for us as a humanitarian organization, it's really essential to ensure that the assistance, when you do not have enough for everybody, really targets the people that are really vulnerable, the most excluded one, which are often the people with disability. And that's why it's also essential for us to ensure that we work hard to coordinate with colleagues from other organizations, because at the end, we are all in the same situation. The means are always less than the needs. So we really need to ensure that what is done at field level is done in the proper way for the most vulnerable ones, without all of us doing the same efforts in the same area, for example. So we do not have, as HI, of course, the expertise to cover all the needs. And in that case, we really also coordinate with colleagues from other organizations to ensure that they can provide the services that HI does not.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And of course, Benson, if I can add to that, we go out and we raise more money.
That's good.
Indeed.
That's good to hear. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Emil. And thank you, Jeff. Thank you to all of our speakers today. And thank you to our retail thrift store teams for generating this revenue for us. On Wednesdays and Thursdays, as we mentioned earlier, 25% of all sales went to this program and campaign. But also we obtained 600 new customers because of this campaign. We're very thankful for that. We hope in the future possibly do this campaign again. Thank you to Humanity Inclusion for all the work you have done and continue to do. It is an absolute privilege to partner with you in this work. We stand in solidarity with you and we hope for peace and safety. Thank you all for being here today and take care.
Thank you very much.
There's
Thanks
the
again,
check.
Chip.
Thank you, Jeff.
Bye.
So the total amount is $28,205. Thank you, Jeff. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
We will.
Bye.
We will.